Ever since Trump hit the scene, the Democratic Party has been stuck in reactive mode. Trump does something insane, we respond, and by the time we respond, he's already done something else insane. This looks weak, and it's left the Democrats in a position where nobody really knows what we stand for. So let's flip the script. Let's write a single amendment with 4 clauses, make that our party platform heading into 2028, and force Republicans to campaign against it. Here's what goes into that amendment. First, universal health care via Medicare for all. Senior citizens already get health care through Medicare, and they get that care through private doctors and hospitals, and it's publicly funded. The entire infrastructure is there. And while it's not a perfect system, it's a place to start. This would mean employers who pay on average $800 per employee per month to provide their employees with health care no longer have to navigate the health insurance marketplace or foot the bill. This would also mean employees are no longer required to stay tethered to jobs they don't like because they're afraid to lose their health insurance. Could you possibly fathom the amount of genius, innovation, and invention that is locked up in the minds of American workers because they want to take a risk, they want to start their own business, but they're afraid to lose the benefits that cover their family? It is inconceivable, and the economic upside of unleashing these workers is something we simply could not calculate. On top of that, not a single American pays a single dollar to an insurance company ever again. Yes, we would pay more in taxes, but we would be taking out the insurance company middleman, meaning the overall cost would be lower. And because every single person would have access to the preventive health care they need, we would undoubtedly see a reduction in the worst and most expensive diseases. Oh, and just to be very clear, this universal health care clause would also include a provision that keeps the hands, eyes, and opinions of politicians out of the medical decisions that are made between Americans and their doctors, including women and trans people. The second clause, renew the assault weapons ban. Put it in the Constitution. People convicted of violent crimes should not be armed. High-capacity magazines, bump stocks, and ammunition designed to shred targets into oblivion. Huge majorities of reasonable people agree that these are not worth the cost. Basic background checks, closing the gun show loophole. These are common sense reforms that almost everyone agrees with, except for politicians. So put them into law and protect Americans. Third, a no kings clause. Presidents cannot shut down other branches of government. Presidents cannot fire civilian leaders without cause. Presidents cannot disband or defund congressionally authorized and congressionally funded departments of government. Presidents have no role, no visibility, and no oversight in state-run elections. Presidents cannot punish private universities or private employers for having values that the president doesn't like. Executive orders are not laws, and they cannot invalidate laws. And executive orders cannot contradict the Constitution. Most importantly, instead of relying on tepid politicians to step up and defend the Constitution, this clause would include a provision that makes for automatic impeachment, conviction, and removal from office for any president who attempts one of these things. Simply put, anyone who wants to be an authoritarian should be terrified of the idea of being our president. In the fourth clause, eliminate the Electoral College. We all have phones, we all have the internet, we all have TV. We don't need electors standing between us and our elections. Instead, implement ranked choice voting in every state and take winner take all off the table. One American, one vote. Every Democrat in Texas matters. Every Republican in California matters. There would be no swing states. There would be no red or blue states. There would only be American people, and wherever they live, they get to vote what they believe. That vote counts, and that vote decides who is president. With ranked choice voting, we get to vote first with our hearts and then with our heads, to make sure that even if our favorite person doesn't get the presidency, at least somebody sane does. Now put these 4 clauses together in one amendment. Americans have free health care. Americans are protected from gun violence. Americans are protected from authoritarians, and the voice of every single American is heard in every single election. Don't waste your time explaining how. Explain why. Because Americans deserve it. And force Republicans to campaign against it. Force Republicans to explain why we don't deserve these things. Force them to say our current healthcare system is perfect. Force them to say gun violence is not an epidemic in the United States. Force them to explain that unchecked executive authority is what the founders had in mind. And force them to explain why your voice shouldn't count if you don't live in the right state. Whether it's realistic to think this amendment would ever get passed is irrelevant, because this amendment would never get a vote if we don't first put into office the people who would vote for it. Stand for what we believe in. Stop reacting to everything. Bring it to voters clearly and without apology, and let voters choose. We take this approach in 2028, we get the leaders who believe in these things elected, and unsurprisingly, we will be in a better position to pass any of these things than we've been since the New Deal.